Could Trump's policies be pushing the world towards an economic collapse? His approach to international relations could be setting the stage for a global crash. As provocative as this may sound, it's a question that's being asked in economic and political circles around the world. The world is watching as President Trump takes a turn towards isolationism, pulling America back from international agreements and organizations. This shift, driven by a belief in expanding US influence and a perception of unfair treatment towards the United States, is causing ripples throughout the global economy. The withdrawal from significant commitments like the Paris Agreement and the World Health Organization not only diminishes US influence, but it also leaves a void that rivals are eager to fill. Moreover, Trump's transactional approach to international relations and skepticism towards multilateralism have raised concerns about the U.S. global standing and relationships with other nations. This could potentially lead to economic instability as countries scramble to adjust to this new world order. Now let's delve into the specifics of Trump's policies and see how they could potentially lead to a global economic downfall. To understand the potential impact, we must first understand Trump's policies themselves. The story begins when Trump decided to withdraw the United States from the Paris Agreement on climate change. The Paris Agreement was a global effort to combat climate change, and the US withdrawal sent shockwaves through the international community. It signaled a shift away from multilateral cooperation and cast doubts over the future of global efforts to curb greenhouse gas emissions. Next, we turn to Trump's exit from the World Health Organization, an entity at the forefront of global health issues. This move was viewed as a step back from international cooperation, creating a vacuum that could be filled by other nations, perhaps with agendas contrary to US interests. Then came the withdrawal from a pact to tax large multinational corporations. This pact was designed to ensure that these corporations paid their fair share of taxes and contributed to the economies in which they operated. By stepping away, the US opened the door for other economies to set the rules of the game. These actions, driven by a perception of unfair treatment towards the United States and a belief in expanding US influence, could have far-reaching effects. They could potentially harm US industries, such as the clean energy sector, which had relied on the Paris Agreement to foster growth and innovation. The withdrawal from global commitments could also diminish US influence and leverage over other economies, leaving the country on the sidelines of important international decisions. But perhaps the most significant consequence is the potential for these moves to backfire. The shift towards isolationism could allow rivals to fill the void, shaping the global order in ways that may not favor the United States. In a world that is becoming increasingly interconnected, going it alone may not be the best strategy for economic prosperity or global influence. These policies, driven by a belief in expanding US influence and a perception of unfair treatment, could backfire in a major way. Trump's policies haven't gone unnoticed. They've sparked reactions, both positive and negative, across the globe. Let's start with the far right. In the early days of Trump's second term, he made significant moves on various culture war issues. These actions, including executive orders targeting immigrants, gender expression, and diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, have energized the far right on a global scale. Leaders and groups in Europe, Brazil, the UK, and Australia have praised Trump's actions, with some advocating for extreme ideologies like remigration and expressing support for Trump's nationalist agenda. The far right sees Trump's return as a green light to mainstream their radical views and shift societal norms to the right. But it's not all applause and admiration. Many have expressed concern over Trump's nationalist agenda. His skepticism towards multilateralism and transactional approach to international relations have raised eyebrows. The fear is that these moves could potentially harm US industries, like the clean energy sector. Moreover, the withdrawal from global commitments diminishes US influence and leverage over other economies. There's a concern that this could allow rivals to fill the void, changing the balance of global power. In terms of economic policies, Trump's actions have initiated a new world order that impacts global trade and environmental regulations. Key actions include pulling out of international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord, imposing tariffs on countries like Canada and Mexico, and rolling back environmental rules to boost energy production. These actions have sent shockwaves across the globe, with countries like Australia bracing for potential economic losses in a global trade war scenario. The global response to Trump's policies paints a picture of a world divided, with potential economic consequences that are far-reaching. In conclusion, Trump's policies could have significant implications for the global economy. We've seen a shift towards isolationism, with the US pulling out of key international agreements, such as the Paris Climate Accord. This move could potentially harm US industries like the clean energy sector and diminish the nation's influence over other economies. Moreover, Trump's policies have sparked a global response, with far-right groups worldwide celebrating these changes. The potential mainstreaming of their radical views could lead to societal shifts, which we should all be conscious of. The economic implications of these policies are also worth noting. The withdrawal from international agreements and the imposition of tariffs on other countries could trigger a global trade war, with possible severe economic consequences. The potential for these actions to instigate a global economic collapse is real and should not be taken lightly. Only time will tell what the true impact of Trump's policies will be. But one thing is clear: the world is watching and the stakes are high.